Okay, third grade. Once you have your clay slab, the first thing that I need you to do is just fold it twice, and then we're just going to gently pound it into a ball. From here, we're going to do a technique called wedging, and right now our clay has all these big cracks in it. Even though we pounded it into a ball, it has cracks all the way through. So what we want to do is we want to smash the clay better to get rid of any cracks or any air bubbles that are in the clay. So to do this, you will push diagonally and forward. So down, forward, and you'll get 2 handprints. You'll lift up and you'll repeat. Down, forward, down, forward, down, forward. And I'm keeping my hands closed so that my clay doesn't spread out and get too flat. So I'm going to do this 5 times. And you're going to notice that it's going to kind of start making these little waves. Like if you were looking at the ocean, it makes waves. After you've done it 5 times this way, then from laying down, stand it up and do it 5 more times. Once you're done wedging, go ahead and gently put it back into a ball. And you just want to do this until it's nice and smooth, no cracks in the clay anymore. Please don't wedge too long. The wedging for me takes less than 1 minute, so you shouldn't be wedging for more than 5 minutes. 5 minutes should be the max. If you have tried to wedge and 5 minutes has gone by, you need to pound it into a ball and you need to move on to this step. What you're going to do next is we want to start rolling this out like we were making Christmas cookies. So before we start using the rolling pin, we want to take our ball and we just want to push it down once. We'll lift it and flip it. We'll push it down twice. And what this does, we'll lift it and flip it, is it starts making the clay flat so it's no longer a ball. Next, you're going to need 2 sets of sticks. The sticks are taped together. There's 3 and 3, so you'll need 1 group of 3 taped together. Don't take the tape off. And you're going to put 1 on the right, 1 on the left. This is going to make sure that we don't have the clay get thinner than our sticks, because then it'll be way too thin and it'll crack and break very quickly. So with the rolling pin, you are going to gently roll forward, gently roll backwards, staying on the top. 5th grade was doing this earlier this week, and they were pushing so hard that they were creating this big lip, and it was making the job really hard for them. So don't push really hard. So it's just forwards, backwards, gently. And then every time you do that, you want to lift the clay up so that it doesn't get stuck to the table. I'm just going to turn it and go forwards, backwards. I'm going to lift, flip it, forwards, backwards, and you want to keep doing this until the clay is no longer spreading out. So right now I can see the clay is still moving. That means that my clay is still taller than my sticks. My clay is no longer moving. That means that my clay is the perfect thickness and I can move on to the next step. Once you have your clay laid out, now we can bring the flour that you cut out from earlier and we can place it on top of our clay. The clay should be sticky enough to hold it in place for you. Over by our supplies, you'll need your red box. And over there, there's a cup, and inside there are these metal wooden tools. And these are going to be the cutting tools that we'll use to cut the flour out. So you'll need to bring this over. We just don't want these inside of the tool kits because I don't want second grade, first grade, or kindergarten using them because they are very sharp. So you will need one of these. For this step, we're cutting the flour out, so we're going to use the metal tool, and you're just going to slowly poke through and trace around all of your petals of your flower. With the extra clay, we don't want to play with it or ball it up. We're just going to leave it flat and move it off to the side. And I'll just come and get this because I'm going to recycle it so that other kids can use this extra clay later on. The last step of today is we want to draw the flour onto the clay because right now if we were to lift the paper up, we do have the flour, but we don't have the inside. We don't see the inside petals, we don't see the inside circle or the face. So that's when you'll go into your red toolbox, and inside we are looking for these wooden pencils. You're going to take the wooden pencil and you're just going to trace over all of the black lines very slowly. I told fifth grade earlier this week that you want to trace the line once, twice, 3 times. We want to push hard enough where we're making an indentation, but not hard enough where we're ripping the paper. If you do rip the paper, it's not a big deal. It's going to be going into the recycling bin when we're done anyways. So you'll continue to trace the lines once, twice, 3 times. When you get to the eyes, my trick is instead of using the pointy side, you can flip it and you have a nice round flat side. So I'll actually just push down to make 2 nice round circles, and again, I'll do each one of those 2 or 3 times. You can slowly remove the paper, and you're going to be able to lightly see your drawing. So now with the paper gone, we'll do the same thing without the paper. We'll go once, twice, 3 times, once, twice, 3 times, and you don't want to go deep. If you go too deep, when you go to pull your flower up, all the petals are going to break and fall apart. So this is a very light step. We're just going deep enough where we can see it better. Once, twice, 3 times, once, twice, 3 times. Once you're done, if there's still time left in class, you can see that there's these little clay pieces that look kind of like clay boogers. You can go ahead and gently wipe those off and smooth it out. The last thing we need to do with these is we need to flip them over. You're going to go ahead and write your first name with the wooden clay tool. Write as much of your last name as you can. And your class code, which will be a 3. And then the letter of your teacher's first name. If you're not sure what the class code is, you can look up at the whiteboard or up front on the chalkboard if you are over at Rockfield, and you can put in your class code. We can go ahead and flip it over, and it's completely done. So if you are done for today, it'll just go on the shelf. If you're at Amy Bell, we don't need to put it into a bag. Or if you're at Rockfield, it'll just go on to the cart.